Cool. So again, huge shout out to Disha and the team for inviting us. My name is Joy, based in Melbourne, Australia. I look after strategy for the group globally. And yeah, just really excited to be here. If there's any questions, like Disha said, feel free to drop us a note or you can leave a comment in the chat box as well, and we'll try our best to get to it as well. Essentially, these were some of the results that we got from basically one of the playbooks that we released with our joint partners. I split this slide into a couple of things. One is business priorities. And just bear in mind, this was released in early 2025. So that means that probably now with some of the things that have been happening, and for those of you in Australia, you've seen a lot more information by the Australian Privacy Commission as well. Those business priorities may have shifted for 2026, but essentially at the start of 2025, these are some of the key business priorities that, when we did a survey for CIOs and digital leaders last year, we found. So I mentioned this before when Disha was asking me. Number one was still about improving employee productivity. So essentially with that, Disha mentioned as well, there's a lot of kind of AI um, elements. When we talk about AI, there's Gen AI, the LLMs fit into that. There's agentic AI. And we belong to the little branch that's basically machine vision and some machine learning as well. Essentially, improving employee productivity was top of mind for a lot of operational efficiencies. So that could be internal, but that could also be front of house. So it's all about making sure that, for physical space like retail, QSR, or hospitality, it's all about making sure that for that time a staff member is there, they're performing at the optimum and we can deliver the best service possible. And that was how productivity was measured. We'll talk a little bit about this in particular in some of the slides later when we talk about use cases and how our customers are using it. And then the other big jump that we saw, and I'm pretty sure that if digital leaders were surveyed literally now, this would literally be number one. But improving regulatory compliance has also jumped up quite a bit from 2023 or from 2024, and that's continuing to be a key topic. For all of us who are in this AI machine vision space. I'll share a little bit into how, as a Melt, from Melt CX as a company, we've really adhered to making sure that we're sticking to some of these, governance frameworks and policies. And you'll see that in some of the slides after. I've also got on the right a little bit about what organizations are seeking help with, and I think this is a key thing for our partners out there. I know there are a couple of partners who are firmly embedded in the Meraki ecosystem. So I think this is for all of us to have a look at in terms of these are the business priorities for sure. That's what they're focused on. What they're seeking help with is what they're looking externally for their partners for to be able to provide when it comes to their digital infrastructure or data strategy. So if you can see, they're looking externally for data management. So they're looking at better ways to manage their data, better ways to ensure that the data they're receiving is held and stored and referenced in the right way. So it's all about making sense of that data. And then, of course, you can see, making sure that they're reaching out externally for AI knowledge and expertise, especially around scaling. But scaling, which leads to then point 3 and 4, scaling in a rate that helps them, stay in line with some of their security policies and privacy policies. And then number 4, making sure that, these scalable AI solutions also help deliver measurable business outcomes. So that's definitely what they're looking at. So it's a really kind of hands-on approach that a lot of these leaders are looking for as well. So I guess, basically the key summary that we got from that white paper and something that we've been talking about a lot was that, the future of where things are, especially with AI, belongs to those who can turn data into action or basically insights without compromising privacy or trust. So a lot of it would be then taking what you can see within, obviously, the boundaries of good governance frameworks and turning that into basically action. And so we'll unpack that in the slides as to how we do that. So Why Meld CX? So for those of you who don't know us, Meld CX stands for Melding the Customer Experience. We're an Australian company headquartered out of Victoria, Melbourne, really. Um, and like Dish just said, we've been a long time Cisco Meraki ecosystem partner. Um, we are passionate about making sure that, you know, not only is infrastructure scalable, it's also easy to deploy. And basically we make it as frictionless and seamless as possible for customers to tap into their data, know that the data you're receiving is right, and that it falls within, the right policy frameworks um, that are out there. And I think that's also a key differentiator for us is that we can work with existing infrastructure. So really, we don't need a GPU for what we do. We actually small format. So basically, we make sure that we can run our models either on the camera itself, so on the Meraki camera itself, or on a small format CPU. So we can unpack that a little bit later, but that's a key, I guess, differentiator for us, where we don't need a large GPU that reduces, some of the upfront costs. We can run models on hybrid where we can have models on cameras by itself. Some of the cameras or some of the other use cases can use small format CPUs like an Intel NUC, for example, to run. So that really helps make it really flexible for our customers. They can reuse a lot of what they have. It's easy, like Disha said, to spin up a POC with one of our off-the-shelf modules and quickly see that ROI come back. We do have as well for our customers and partners, we do have, extensive documentation on how to deploy basically our installer onto the Meraki cameras. So it's really quite simple. We've got videos and stuff like that just to make it really easy. You don't have to be a data scientist or data engineer to really roll out an install package. It's all there, especially for off-the-shelf modules. So we do that. Um, the next thing is actually a big thing as well. Advanced data management, and I talk about it broadly in terms of, we are able to ingest data obviously from the Meraki cameras, but we are also able to ingest data from different sources. And I think I mentioned that before, but one key source is definitely post-transactional data. So we do work with a lot of our customers in retail to ingest that data, either put it on our dashboard or we can export our data into, say, CSV files for that to then be ingested into different BI platforms that the business uses, or we can do kind of, straight integration as well. We do have our hospitality customers or QSR customers also want us to integrate into rostering platforms. A lot to do with some of that employee productivity that we spoke about. That's all possible, and we've done those as well. So what that gives you is really, one, being able to have a better understanding, like I mentioned before, of that interest, engagement, and then conversion funnel at your fingertips. The other thing as well is, if there needs to be segregation of data across different business units, that's also possible and that can also be done. So it's making it really easy for customers to be able to access that data. I did mention as well earlier in the conversation that we do also work with our partners and we can also offer that service sold through partners for what we call data playbacks. So that's basically deeper level data insights where we really unpack the anomalies that we see from the dashboard. So we ourselves have our dashboard, but these data playbacks are deeper level understanding into the data, and we can put that into easy to digest marketing packs that then get sent out to the broader business as to the anomalies you see, zone mapping. So for example, we're looking at stores in Victoria versus New South Wales, for example. We can do that. Those are deeper level insights that we can do, and we offer that as a service for customers that probably don't have a business unit that handles data insights or are looking for independent audit to some of the results that they see. So those are some of the things that we can do as well. And last but not least, we'll talk about this in the slides after. It's really working within, some of the governance frameworks and pretty robust to support some of the AI growth that we see. So basically how we operate is privacy first. It's a privacy-driven design that we do, and we'll unpack that later as well. So all in all, this is my extended statement as compared to the first statement that Disha asked me earlier to describe in one line. But literally, we are an AI platform and service that helps businesses drive growth through data. So essentially, that's who we are as well. Uh, we spoke about this earlier. I think this is really important for me to set the scene or the framework to what we do. I think all of us are getting inundated by, AI. We're getting inundated by training machines, training models, making sure that the data that we get is uh, ethical. And I think what we've done is we've actually just put into a five-step process here as to how, we've put measures in place to build a smarter, ethical AI ecosystem. And I think one other thing that we wanted to add is, like what Disha mentioned, we've got experience dealing with some of the top customers in the world. We're no stranger to having to go through risk and compliance assessments as well. And yeah, we've passed every single one that we've done. So we've got knowledge in standing up to unions, standing up to risk and compliance officers, and that's really due to this five-step method that we've adopted here. So obviously, one, I think when it comes to AI, how you train your model is really important as well. I think that's a key thing, and making sure that you're training your model ethically. And I think with how we've trained it, Disha did allude to this before. When we're training our models, we actually use synthetic data. So that means that the models that we train are free from racial gender bias. We're really focusing on, either object detection or behavior detection when we're looking at things like slip and falls or things like loss prevention. So that's making sure that, from um, a first step process, the data and the models that we're trained on are ethical. And like what Disha mentioned, I won't go through it here today, but for those who are interested, definitely, and we can set up another session to go through it. How we train our models synthetically is really to be able to manipulate our understanding of the business case, like loss prevention from shells. We manipulate that synthetically to be able to get that behavior model or that behavior pattern, and then we then test it out in the wild, like we call it, or in the real world. Number two is making sure that we don't store stream any video. Literally, what we do is there's a real-time de-identification and anonymization process. So literally, when you look through the camera, you're not identified. Joy is not known as Joy. She's literally ID 002 with these attributes. And these attributes are then, grouped into basically a broader persona to understand how females of this age range interact with a grocery store, for example. Or it's basically masked. So all you know is, ID 002, a female of this age range, and how she is interacting with the physical space. In the event that there is a need for an edge device as well, there is on-edge inferencing as well, and that's all secured and encrypted. Not going to go through that as well. There's a whole hardware conversation about it. But basically, we're only transmitting basically metadata to the cloud. So that means that there's no video that's stored or processed. Everything is basically metadata that is scrambled into the cloud. And then we do have a portal, which you can see, which is number 5. And for people who have access to the portal, there is basically tiers of user permissions and also basically audit logging that happens too. So we can know who's actually playing around, who's moving the trip lines, who's actually doing this. That's all audited as well. Separately, of course, we do offer single sign-on, stuff like that. Multi-factor authentication is also on our roadmap to do. So those are some of the things that we do to make it smarter and more safe for our customers and partners. I spoke about this before. This is another illustration into how we basically make sure that you are de-identified when you come into basically the field of view of the Meraki cameras. As I mentioned, there's no personal identifiable information that is stored. We treat everyone as a person-like object, basically, where, as you can see, everybody is just a token, and we understand attributes of the token. Last but not least, you'll see a little badge on the top right. We kind of wear this badge of honor. But basically, we've been independently certified and verified by a third-party organization out of California, that the way we store, process, and capture data is in line with various global standards, including the Australian Privacy Act and the OECD governance policies. So I think we spoke about this before. We do have a playbook into how we can assist our customers with some of their machine vision AI data needs. And essentially, you can see here from a multi-X point of view, we've tried to make AI basically really palatable. And we've done our AI use cases as basically cross verticals. And we split them into some of the use cases on the screen here. And basically our customers, basically like an Adobe Creative Cloud, you can purchase Photoshop or you can purchase the whole Creative Cloud suite, and you can get Photoshop, InDesign, Lightroom, all of that. Similar process like ours. Depending on what you need, you want to have a look at your physical space. You can basically download our people counting or zone engagement modules or product and shelf engagement modules. And then basically, for some of the cameras that are, facing the front of house and you've got signage, you can look at different modules for signage as well, which is down the advertising bucket. And if there are more complex use cases that you want around theft or slip and fall, we do have those models as well. There is a little scale, if you can see, from non-customized all the way to customized. It basically means that there's some that are true off the shelf because there's very little things that we need to do. We just need the floor plan and away you go. And some, depending on objects or what you want to use and measure, that might be a little small scoping exercise up front, just so that we can determine what we can assist with. But high level, these are some of the modules that we have available in our suite. And I think obviously this is attractive to our customers, and we've got customers who start off using one particular module, say in the space analytics bucket, and then grow and merge that with modules in, say, safety, security, and health, in front of house advertising. We've got customers who do that as well. So what that means is that you get a really holistic kind of vision analytics suite for yourself, where you can pull and use cameras for different things and be able to have the data across all these points as well to kind of map out how people are interacting with your physical space. So one of my favorite parts, I'm going to try and go through this so that I can pass it over to James as well. But really wanted to take you through some of our use cases and some of the findings that our customers has had. So this is really a case study for one of our quick service restaurants that we service. They're multinational and we've rolled out with them across different regions. But essentially, this particular customer started off with wanting to understand the operations and the return of investments that they've done for some of their new drive-throughs. They were keen to understand, how vehicles were coming through the drive-through, whether they were meeting some of their KPIs around service for customers, and literally how they could improve. And this is a fantastic use case for us because it started off with one around drive-through metrics, and it quickly increased from outside to inside and in-store as well. And so we're now working with them to understand things like staff operations in store. That's really around also the measure to rosters and making sure that staff members are at their rostered places, providing that service to customers, all the way to queue times in stores, which is really around that, product delivery perspective, and also understanding the utilization of space. How long are people spending time in the store? What's the ideal turnover time for maximum value? Some of the key highlights. So this customer, we've worked with them to really define kind of key KPIs. What is the process? We worked with them to also validate the best kind of food and beverage preparation process. And these are some of the highlights that we did after running, our program with them. They were able to, with understanding kind of where the chokeholds were, where some of the business operation efficiency improvements could be, they were able to serve 72% of customers within their 4-minute target mark. So that's from order placement all the way to order pickup, which was quite a marked improvement from where they were before. We also were able to help them with a 21% increase in order preparation speed, which means that after understanding where those chokeholds were in order prep, working with them to then plan a new system to help speed up basically order prep and order delivery. So we were able to help prove to the stakeholders that that was actually effective. And we did also see that, staff members were actually stepping up. So when it came to holiday campaigns, measuring that according to the roster, and, we did see 40% surge in staff activity, which means that, the staff members were definitely, um, you know, bolstering around the new program and making sure that, the business was confident to run some of these new campaigns moving forward, knowing that their staff members, once trained with the new system, were able to deliver better, and staff members were also more engaged, and there was more utilization across all those stations, like food stations, POS transaction stations, and beverage stations. And what did that mean commercially? So I think, coming back to what that was, I think that was definitely additional revenue growth because of, higher prep times, higher customer satisfaction. Some of the high level results that showed included, an increase of about 300 to 400 additional meals per store. Of course, it was different according to different geographical locations, but that was a fantastic score for us because that meant, an increase of around 2 billion US in annual revenue for them, if you imagine across all the different stores. We did also see lower wastage costs because there was, and we're working with them on predictability. So we are creatures of habit. If I do go into the office, on Mondays before my team whip sessions, I will go down for a coffee. My order remains the same. And so they were able to kind of prep, okay, I need skinny, I need half and halves. I know that there's going to be more people around this time. So reschedule stuff, order kind of only X amount of cartons of skimming milk, that sort of thing. We were able to do that for them. And of course, I think a key one was also being able to map and measure, with predictability, how many people were, um, at the service stations, or how many people they needed to cater for, what was the busiest peak periods, so that, they didn't have to add additional headcount and they could reposition resources accordingly. Last but not least, in terms of another use case, we do have another customer. This is Burnley FC. For those of you who like soccer, they are an English Premier League club. They've come back into the top tier league. We've also worked with them to map and measure basically their retail store, basically at their stadium. They were keen to figure out kind of pre-game, post-game, during game, so that's halftime, how shopper insights were, and how they could basically upsell different jerseys, like whether the female or the male range was doing better, people liked home or away kits, how could they improve basically the pickup process when people were ordering jerseys to wear before the game. And we've also got a really good quote from Mark, who basically heads up their retail e-commerce section, about working with us and how to use our insights to deliver to their fan base. So that's definitely a use case in the UK.
Thank you, Joy.
Yeah.
Sorry, we just probably have to wrap up shortly. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, anyway, anything, please make sure to reach out to us. We've got a couple of Vision Labs across the world as well. So yeah, email there. Anything else, please reach out to Disha and the team as well. So thank you, guys.